Hi everybody, good afternoon. Sorry, I look very tired. I'm tired, but so today this week I read one of the most painful, heart-wrenching stories that I've ever read in the Bible. Interestingly, I used to think that I had read everything in that particular book of the Bible, but it was very, very interesting to note that I hadn't. And I'm talking about the story in Judges chapter 19. I'm going to do a brief rundown, but trigger warnings contain sexual assault. So if you have any triggers relating to that, you can just pass aside. Right. So let me just go into the story. So the story starts with a man who is a Levite. If you don't know who Levites are, they're like priests of the Old Testament, like a tribe who were called to be priests for the Israelites during those times. And so this particular priest got a concubine, so to say. That's somebody who is not legally married to, just like a side babe. And they were living together in a house. And then she got angry with him and decided to leave him and go to her father's house. After 4 months, he picked 2 donkeys and his servant, and he went to seek out in her father's house. So he got there and, just trying to convince her, and his father was really receptive of him, so to say, such that they feasted. He stayed there for 3 days, that's 3 nights, and they feasted and ate and drank together. And on the 4th day, he wanted to leave, and the father was like, don't go, just stay behind and still eat a lot. As I was reading this, and I was like, don't go, stay behind and let's still eat. I was thinking like, the father was going to poison him or something. At least that's what came to my head, like, this father is going to poison him for the evil that he did to his daughter or something. But interestingly, he just said, don't go, just stay behind and let's still eat again. He stayed, spent the night, enjoyed, celebrated. On the 5th day, he wanted to also go again, and the father was like, don't go, but he insisted. So the father was like, okay, do you know what, just eat breakfast, let's put it that way, and then you can go later in the day. So when they were getting ready to go in the afternoon, the father still pushed back again, like, stay now, it's already getting dark, so just stay behind in the house. But unfortunately, the guy just insisted that no, I'm going to go. So the father just let them go, and he went with his concubine, who the father had already. He went with his concubine and his servants and donkeys, and then he also had like food from the father's house, right, so that they would feed on the road. But as they were going and journeying, it was literally already almost evening, so they said they were going to look for a place to settle. Just for context, I want us to read the chapter by ourselves, but I don't remember the name of the cities, long and short, right? I could check it, but let's also read it. So, long and short, as they were going along the road, they passed by a nearby city, which they wanted to stay in, but the man just understanding that I'm an Israelite, if I stay in, I really don't know the mind, but basically he wanted to go to his fellow Israelite town. So he said, there is a town, there's an Israelite town, longer, farther, there are about 2 of them. Let's get closer to that town. I think it was the town of Gibeah, if I'm correct. And so they strived. It was already getting dark and everything, but they just got to the town finally, and they were in like the square of the town, and nobody took them in, right? So as they were just staying, one man now saw them and was like, what's going on? And they're like, we currently don't have a place to stay, just we're looking for someone to take us in, or we can just stay and leave for the night. And the man was like, no matter what you do not sleep in this square, let me take you to my house. So he took them into his house, and they feasted, they enjoyed themselves, and they were getting ready to go to bed. After the feast, some in the Bible I read, or in the version I read, they call them troublemakers, just came around the house and surrounded them and were like, give us the man. Give us the man. Just for context, right? Where the other place that this story appears in the Bible is when the angels went to visit Lot when they were going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and those really horrible Sodom and Gomorrahans, so to say, were saying, "Oh, give us the angels," and the man responded that, "Oh, I won't give you the angel. I can give you my virgin daughter." That was Lot saying, "My daughter is married. You can have her or something." So it's the same story that played out, but just think about it. This is an Israelite nation, not a pagan nation. The people that God has called to Himself, called for Himself, had turned themselves to be saying, "Give us the man." And after so much begging, the man who is hosting said, "This is such a shameful thing. I can't give you the man. I have my daughter too, who is unmarried, and even this, who is a virgin, and even this man's concubine. Please, you can take it out of them." And they were still insistent. And do you know what this man, who is a Levite, did to his concubine? He picked her and threw her to the men that were asking for him, literally giving her up as a sacrifice to be raped. And that's exactly what happened. She was raped turn after turn, turn after turn. It was a heavily sad story to read, right? I see why nobody even talks about this story. And then what happens is this lady then returns back to the house, but she wasn't even able to get into the house. Right at the door of the house, that's the house of the guests, the house of the person who was hosting them, she fainted there. And the man woke up, got to the door. The man got to the door. I don't know if he even was able to sleep. There's no record of that. He got to the door and found his concubine dead on the streets. And then he carried her and took her to his town. And then he divided her body into 12 and sent it to the 12 tribes of Israel. And the chapter ends with them saying, "Oh my God, this is such a brutal thing. Who will speak up? What will we do?" And that's how the story ends. And there are a lot of things to take from it. If I should go the relationship route on how, in the first place, the man even waited 4 months before he went to beg, and how he just let her go, or how she was even a concubine and not his actual wife. And how, if I could go into the relationship thing, that's a different story and different style entirely. But I just want to talk about how we wake up each morning, and thinking that we know the best way, or we know the best part of our lives, we know what we're supposed to do, not recognizing that there's a way that seems right to a man. In your head, it just seems like the right path to take. It seems like the most smart and best direction. This is a man thinking that if he gets into a neighborhood where, his relatives are, think of it, these are his relatives. If he gets into a neighborhood where his relatives are, he'll be safer. Meanwhile, the safety was not in that town, right? So there's always a way that seems right to us, but the end is always destruction. And you can wake up every morning and I just think of the audacity or the boldness and confidence that you would have not to commit your ways to God, not to give Him the grace or give Him the authority over your life, give Him the strength or the power to direct you, right? And you just wake up and say, "Oh, I'll just do my normal thing," like the normal way it always is. And it just begs to say that it's only God that can literally direct you and show you the path that you should take without any stress. You have to wake up each morning recognizing that and committing your ways to God and allowing Him to lead you. And interestingly, as much as this is great, like praying to God consistently every day for protection and for direction, I would say that you have cut yourself really short or cut your coat really small if that is the reason why you will go to God. Because in the place of fellowship, that is like just knowing God alone, you will find a lot more things there. Just fellowshipping with God, allowing God to be your friend, comes safety, comes every other thing, comes leading, comes direction, right? But the beauty of fellowship in itself is what I would say is the greatest gift for anybody who is a Christian. So I just want to encourage us with this story, right? That don't think of your own way. It might seem smart, it might seem logical, the data might have showed everything possible. Maybe there's a road around a path, and that road is the place where all the all the harm is. And then if you pass another road, you know that that's the safety place, and you just always want to pass that road, and you don't know if that's the day that that road will be the bad road. You understand? But it's only God that will direct your path to on what to take, how to behave, how to posture, and keep you safe, right? So yeah, just thought to share. But it was a sad story, very very sad, the kind of story that can make you cry. Anyway, happy new week.